Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Ruach Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Jeremiah, the 35th chapter. And in this chapter, as you can see, the Rechabites' obedience, the Lord sends Jeremiah to basically, as he has done in the past, set up a situation, right, where it would, he would use that to convey a point or to symbolize the message, right, that the Lord is trying to give. And so here we see the sons of or the descendants of Rechab, or the Rechabites. And the Lord uses an example of the obedience that they have to their father, or their forefather, to convey his message there. So this is Jeremiah 35 verse 1. The word which came unto Jeremiah from the Lord Yahweh in the days of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, saying, Go unto the house of the Rechabites, and speak unto them, and bring them into the house of the Lord Yahweh, into one of the chambers, and give them wine to drink. Now, when you look up the Rechabites, it appears that they were heathens, or let's just say not of Israelite descent. When you trace the precepts that track their lineage, I believe they go back to the descendants of the same line as Jethro, or Moses' father-in-law, right? So when you as we get further into it, they'll mention here that they descend from Jonadab, right, which is otherwise spelled or known as Jehonadab, and he's also mentioned here in the book of 2 Kings, the 10th chapter. And this is when the Lord had sent Jehu to set him up to purge out the worshippers of Baal, right, from the land. And so I'm going to read this here, starting here just to get to the point. This is 2 Kings chapter 10, verse 13. Jehu met with the brethren of Ahaziah, king of Judah, and said, Who are ye? And they answered, We are the brethren of Ahaziah, and we go down to salute the children of the king and the children of the queen. And he said, Take them alive. Hey, slap here. And he said, Take them alive. And they took them alive and slew them slew them at the pit of the shearing house, even 42 men, neither left he any of them. And when he was departed thence, he lighted on Jehonadab, right? So he came across, or he saw Jehonadab, the son of Rechab, right, coming to meet him. And he saluted him and said to him, Is thine heart right, as mine heart is with thy heart? And Jehonadab answered, It is. If it be, give me thine hand. And he gave him his hand, and he took him up to him into his chariot. And as we read on down, and he said, Come with me and see my zeal for the Lord Yahweh. So they made him ride in his chariot. So basically, Jehonadab assists Jehu in the deception or the deceiving of the worshippers of Baal, in gathering them in one room, excluding the worshippers of the Lord, and then ultimately slaying them all. Which was a work that the Lord basically, actually put the spirit on them to do. So now, right, tracing from Jehonadab, right, going back to 1 Chronicles 2 and 55, it says here the families, because this goes into the different lineages, right? It goes into that of the genealogy of David and so on and so forth. But as you go further and further back, it mentions here and the families of the scribes which dwelt at Jabez, the Tirathites, the Shimeathites, the Suchathites. These are the Kenites that came from Hemath, the father of the house of Rechab. Okay, so we know here that um, the Kenites, all right, was, as it says, the father of the house of Rechab. And so when you go back to who the Kenites were, right, going back to Judges 1 and 16, it says, and the children of the Kenite, Moses' father-in-law, went up out of the city of palm trees with the children of Judah into the wilderness of Judah, which lieth in the south of Arad, and they went and dwelt among the people. Okay, so when you follow, based on those precepts, the lineage of the Rechabites, you see that they weren't actually descendants of Israel, okay, or of Jacob, but rather going back to Moses' father-in-law, which he was not an Israelite. So continuing back in Jeremiah 35 and 2, it says here, so the Lord commands or tells Jeremiah, go and get them, bring them to the temple, and then give them wine to drink. Then I took Jaazaniah, the son of Jeremiah, this is a different Jeremiah here, the son of Habazaniah, and his brethren, and all his sons, and the whole house of the Rechabites. And I brought them into the house of the Lord Yahweh, into the chamber of the sons of Hanan, the son of Igdaliah, a man of God, which was by the chamber of the princes, which was above the chamber of Maaseiah, the son of Shallum, the keeper of the door. And I'll read this part in the NLT as well. I took them to the temple, and we went into the room assigned to the sons of Hanan, son of Igdaliah, a man of God. This room was located next to the one used by the temple officials, directly above the room of Maaseiah, son of Shallum, the temple gatekeeper. So Jeremiah takes them to, one of the rooms or chambers in the temple. It says here, and I set before the sons of the house of the Rechabites pots full of wine and cups, and I said unto them, drink ye wine. But they said, we will drink no wine, for Jonadab the son of Rechab our father commanded us, saying, ye shall drink no wine, neither ye nor your sons forever. Neither shall ye build house, nor sow seed, nor plant vineyard, nor have any. But all your days ye shall dwell in tents, that ye may live many days in the land where ye be strangers. See, because as we read, going even back into the time of Judges, they were basically like strangers that came to dwell in the land, really of I think it said Judah, right? They came to dwell, as it says, in the wilderness of Judah. Okay, so having been quote unquote strangers in the land, right? Their forefather commanded them basically to live a very strict, almost like a nomadic lifestyle to an extent, right? And not to get beside themselves and get comfortable and try to, set up some sort of inheritance or something of that sort in the land where they're strangers. And by doing this, not causing trouble and basically just keeping to themselves as best they can, they would be able to continue on. So this is a pretty strict commandment. However, even till this very time, which was hundreds of years later, they adhered to it, right? Thus have we obeyed the voice of Jonadab, the son of Rechab, our father, in all that he hath charged us, to drink no wine all our days, we, our wives, our sons, nor our daughters. And once again, another point, right, that just came to mind is if they were Israelites, they would have to keep the Passover, right? And in order to keep the Passover, at least the way we keep it now, let me say it that way, right? You drink the yayin and so on and so forth. So yeah, actually thinking about it now, when you deal with the Passover in Exodus 12, and it doesn't mention, the drinking of the yayan, right? So yeah, we can disregard that point. But long story short, based on what we read before, you can see that, they and even them, their forefather mentioning them being strangers in the land, points to that of them not being descendants of Israel. So in any case, as he says, for hundreds of years, right, they had adhered to this commandment that they were given, both them, their wives, their sons, right, their daughters, as it says, nor to build houses for us to dwell in, neither have we vineyard, nor field, nor seed. So they didn't have vineyards because of the vine came the fruit of the vine, which is where you get your wine. But we have dwelt in tents and have obeyed and done according to all that Jonadab our father commanded us. But it came to pass, when Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon came up into the land, that we said, Come, and let us go to Jerusalem for fear of the army of the Chaldeans, and for fear of the army of the Syrians. So we dwell at Jerusalem. So they basically said, well, we ended up, coming here because of fear of the Chaldeans, right, or the armies of Nebuchadnezzar. That's why we fled from the wilderness of Judah, right, and the exteriors, and more interior, right, into Jerusalem for safety, basically. Then came the word of the Lord Yahweh unto Jeremiah, saying, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, Go and tell the men of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, Will ye not receive instruction to hearken to my words, saith the Lord? So go and tell, the inhabitants of Judah, right? And the Lord is about to make a point here, right? Saying that you don't want to listen to me, right? To this day, you don't hearken unto my words and my voice. But look at this, right? The words of Jonadab, the son of Rechab, that he commanded his sons not to drink wine, are performed, for unto this day they drink none, but obey their father's commandments. Notwithstanding, I have spoken unto you, rising early and speaking, but ye hearken not unto me. So how is it that they, being warned of their forefather, as it says, the words of Jonadab, the son of Rechab, they've kept that, right, for generations. And yet you, who I constantly send prophets to come in and speak unto you, you can't get this word. How are they more loyal and obedient to their their house or that commandment than you are to me, being your God? I have sent also unto you all my servants the prophets, rising up early and sending them, saying, Return ye now every man from his evil way, and amend your doings, and go not after other gods to serve them. And ye shall dwell in the land which I have given to you and to your fathers, but ye have not inclined your ear, nor hearkened unto me. See, so I sent the prophets constantly, right? And they would admonish, they would rebuke, they would reprove, telling you turn back from those wicked ways. Stop the wickedness that you're doing. Stop the idolatry. And if you do, the Lord will, he'll bless you so you can continue to dwell in the land. But they said no. Because the sons of Jonadab, the son of Rechab, have performed the commandment of their father, which he commanded them, but this people hath not hearkened unto me. Therefore thus saith the Lord God of hosts, the God of Israel, Behold, I will bring upon Judah and upon all the inhabitants of Jerusalem all the evil that I have pronounced against them. So the judgments that I had intended against you, that I had Jeremiah and the different prophets of old prophesy against you, I'm going to bring that to pass. Because I have spoken unto them, but they have not heard. And I have called unto them, but they have not answered. So they basically made themselves hard of hearing, right? They became stiff-necked, and therefore the Lord said what? That he is going to bring that judgment upon them, because they're not going to get it, and they're not going to change their ways. And Jeremiah said unto the house of the Rechabites, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, because ye have obeyed the commandment of Jonadab your father, and kept all his precepts, and done according unto all that he hath commanded you. Therefore thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, Jonadab the son of Rechab shall not want a man to stand before me forever. All right, and what that means is, shall not want a man, meaning he's not gonna, he will always have a descendant, right, in the presence of the Lord. Because remember, the presence of the Lord was in Israel, right, was in that region, and they had been dwelling with us, for generations, right, or in that territory. So basically, as the Lord is saying here, they would never have to deal with, having their descendants cut off, so to speak, right? The Lord will preserve them, in other words. And so that brings us to the end of the book of Jeremiah, the 35th chapter. Right here, you can see once again the Lord uses, sort of a similitude here, or a comparison, to show just how disobedient, right, and hard-headed and stiff-necked his people are to him. Okay, that they can't even obey his word, and therefore he's going to bring that judgment upon them. So with that, Lord willing, it was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Recha Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.